Welcome to Beyond the Press Release, a production of Agoracom in which we take the time to interview small cap companies and their executives about recent important news. With me today, again, I'm happy to have Chris Bunka. He's Chairman, CEO, and President of Lexaria Corp. Trades in the U.S. under the stock symbol LXRP and in Canada under the stock symbol LXX. You can find him on the web at lexariaenergy.com or get to Agoracom, punch in the company's name and stock symbol. Now, for those of you who are new to the Lexaria story, this is one of the most advanced and fastest growing companies in the cannabinoid delivery systems space. It's going to be through foods and teas. We're going to talk about that with Chris in a moment. The company also has some advanced stage medical marijuana projects that we're going to discuss, and we're going to get right into it here. Chris, welcome to the show.
Thanks, George. Happy to be here as always. Good to see you.
Now, the funny thing here, Chris, is when we usually talk beyond the press release, we're usually talking with a company that's put out a press release, important, and we want to discuss the importance of it after the fact. But Lexaria has done more than just put out a press release. This is just some headlines they've been put out over the last 45 days or so. Lexaria changes brand name and clarifies hemp environment, hires Tom Irke as president of the U.S. subsidiary to oversee the rollout and sale of its ViPova brand and CBD-infused teas, hires national sales strategists and sponsors first sales event. And today, ViPova launches national sales initiative. So, you've been extremely busy, and hats off to you. So that's great for the shareholders and everybody out there. Let's try and corral all that. And what I really want to talk to you about here is this new initiative, ViPova, which involves the delivery of cannabinoids or CBDs into teas and foods. Why did you make this acquisition, and why is it so important to everybody out there?
Well, you're very right. We've been really busy. We're going to continue to be busy. We've got a lot going on. The answer to it's a simple question, and I get that, and I'm going to answer it, but it's a complex answer because there's a lot of reasons why we made the acquisition. One of the reasons is because of the slow movement in Canada on the medical marijuana license front, as everybody knows. Another reason is that we knew that as a small company, we needed to differentiate ourselves from others out there. We need to make sure we've got a real product, something that's important. And the ViPova technology behind the ViPova acquisition was very, very important to us. We looked at it the best that we can. We think we and they may have been onto something really important. And so all of those factors come together as to why we made that acquisition and kind of our development plans going forward.
Now, it wasn't until I saw these press releases come out where I really started to understand. So what I want to do is take people through a bit of exactly how big this is. Because at first, when I first saw the first headlines, and despite you being a client, I thought, okay, this looks like good niche stuff here. And that's when I realized, no, this is way beyond that. CBDs are, in fact, natural cannabinoids as we get older tend to break down or deplete out of our system, which starts to lead to the pains and aches and those kind of things, and they have to be replenished. So let's first talk about the importance of CBDs to health, and then the landscape out there as far as what the market has been for these kind of things, and then your competitive advantage. But let's start off, first of all, with the broad picture so people really understand how important CBDs are.
Okay. First off, I'm not a scientist. I'm not a doctor, so everything I say, people should, conduct your own research, and that I'm not just saying that. It is important. I won't lie to you, but my information is the best that my understanding can deliver. So from everything that I've learned and been told from some very, very smart people around me, the endocannabinoid system is very, very ancient. Even Health Canada refers to it in literature as being one of the most primitive systems that exists in vertebrates at all. It's theorized that it developed in the young human body so long ago because it's a very efficient signaling system. And you have to think of it like a traffic cop or a spark plug. The endocannabinoid system isn't part of just your gut or your liver or just your central nervous system. It's throughout most of your body. And it's a signaling system, so that if your finger touches a pin or something that's hot, you get a pain reflex, and that's going to make chemical messaging happen within your body. One synapse fires, and it says to another synapse, "Hey, you need to do something." The other synapse needs to hear that message in order for your body to take some sort of an action. That can be in response to pain, it can be in response to pleasure, it can be in response to anything. Problem is, the endocannabinoid system works in that gap in between the synapses. And if it's not working correctly for any of a number of reasons, the message is sent, but it's never really delivered or not delivered properly, not heard properly. So your body manufactures and replenishes some of the base molecules that are required for that chemical messaging. But as you mentioned, it doesn't always work as well as we age, and it doesn't always work as well if we're subject to certain diseases. So endocannabinoids simply means human, endo-human cannabinoids. Phytocannabinoids, phyto is plant, phyto is plant-based cannabinoids. So plants like echinacea, hemp, or marijuana all have cannabinoids within them, and they are plant-based, and if they are delivered to your body in the proper manner, your body can use them to replenish the endocannabinoids that might be low. So our acquisition of ViPova became really important to us because we think that the founders of that company had discovered a method of delivering those cannabinoids more efficiently, more effectively than anybody else that we can discover in the market. That's why it's a big deal.
And that's important when you say anybody else. So it's not that Lexaria is first to the table here, but you're going to do it better. So give us a layman's example, because we had a really good off-camera discussion, a layman's description of how current products are getting the cannabinoids into our system versus how ViPova is going to improve on that with this patent pending process.
Okay, yeah, great question. And so let's start right at the top. So medical marijuana delivers THC, which makes people high, as well as other compounds. Hemp does not deliver THC. So right off the bat, there's a branch right on the top. Secondarily, most people who use medical marijuana smoke it, and THC is delivered very effectively that way. Most cannabinoids, not all of them, but most cannabinoids are not delivered as effectively through combustion as they are through other methods. However, raw hemp oil, where cannabinoids are concentrated into hemp oil will not make you high, it's not psychoactive. It is recognized as a food, not a drug, and it is legal in all 50 states across America.
And you can buy it pretty readily, right? Hemp oil is available in all sorts of grocery stores and retail stores, and people use it all the time.
Hemp oil is available on Amazon.com. It's available on the web. It's legal, as I say, in all 50 states. And hemp-based foods you can even find in frontline retail stores like Costco, Safeway, and others. So hemp hearts is nothing more than the seed from the hemp plant. And hemp oil is a very ancient food. People have been eating hemp for thousands of years. Very complete protein. It's a good food. But hemp oil or cannabinoids in high concentrations can also be tough on your digestive system. So a lot of people report that it tastes unpleasant, tastes very strong, and it can even cause stomach upset in a number of people. What ViPova does that nobody else does, because we have the patent pending on this technology, is we take the cannabinoid molecule and we actually place it inside of other molecules, inside of lipids or generally fats.
So you're stripping away all the stuff that isn't necessary and just getting straight to the can. So I don't have to mix the hemp oil with, like you said, in a stainless steel bowl in order to make these muffins and cookies. Now, if you strip all that away, you're just getting the pure CBD and making that available for the foods.
make it available and encapsulate it. So if you can imagine it being encapsulated within a lipid molecule, and now your body is digesting not the cannabinoid. The stomach doesn't see the cannabinoid right away. It sees the lipid. And the human digestive system, as we all know, loves lipids and digests fats very well. The body puts on fats very well. It's a problem for almost everybody. So because the body absorbs fats so well, we theorized, the founders of ViPova theorized, that putting the cannabinoids inside of fats would be a good thing to do and the body would like it. That's the basis of our technology.
Now, Chris, you're not just talking a big game about this delivery system and being injected into fat molecules. You're putting Lexaria's money where your mouth is. You acquired 51% of ViPova. You've hired on a new president. You've launched this national sales initiative here. So let's talk about first, how do you see the market for this kind of product? And I know you're probably going to roll out more products than just teas, but how big could this marketplace be today, and where do you see it going in the next few years?
I don't even know if I can describe how big I think it can get. And that is the most honest answer I can give you. I mean, tea is the most widely consumed beverage on the planet. I didn't know that before I started researching it. It's also the most widely consumed beverage in America, and I didn't know that either. But people consume way more tea than they do coffee or soft drinks or alcohol or anything else. So tea is ubiquitous. People like it, and they're used to drinking it. And that's one of the reasons that we entered that market. So that market alone is massive. But you have to understand that our tea is different because it's really CBD that's being carried by tea or carried by other ingredients in tea. So tea is the delivery system. It's not a drug. Cannabidiol and hemp oil are recognized by the FDA as food. So it is a food, and as I mentioned, hemp food products have been used for thousands of years. It's really only in the last 50 or 100 years that we haven't been consuming hemp as a food, and that's because of all the laws around marijuana. So the market size is huge. I will say this much. Hemp-based food products last year in the United States, depending on whose numbers you're looking at, were somewhere between $450 and $700 million, which makes it 4 to 5 times larger than the Canadian medical marijuana market. Put it in context. So it's quite large, growing very rapidly. Growth rates are between 20 and 30% per year. And hemp is, to one extent or another, legal in somewhere between 30 and 40 countries worldwide right now. So the market is very, very large. I don't think anybody knows the precise number, but it's big.
And I'm going to presume market acceptance should be pretty good for this, just because anytime, getting back to what I said earlier, you can strip away all the things you really don't need just to get to what you really need, the CBD. And that's got to be, for at least the people who understand and are using these products right now, and the new people like me and my family, other families are going to start to, that's going to be extremely valuable. So beyond tea, where are you going in terms of other products? Is there a product pipeline for now? Have you got a vision for the next 12 months or so?
Well, so much. I mean, we struggle to keep up with it all. So on the tea side, what we have now is a very smooth Chinese black tea. It's a lovely tea. I've drank it a lot. I like it. But we'll also be launching single-serving teas and flavored teas this year. We right now have done our first internal test batches on CBD-infused coffee. We think that will be a huge market segment. People are already used to spending a little more for gourmet coffees, and we certainly think that we will qualify in that market. And we're also looking in 2015, and in fact early product development has already started, on a protein energy bar that we would expect to be gluten-free, hopefully low on the glycemic index, as well as infused with our technology with the CBDs. So a point I want to make is that all the products that we offer are going to be healthy, good tasting products that you're already familiar with. We're not going to ask grown-ups to go walking down the street sucking a lollipop.
Right.
We're not asking anybody to smoke anything. We're asking you to do the things and eat and drink the things you already love to eat and drink, but just do it with our products, with the CBD, and you can do that in your home, in your office. You'll never get high. Just makes sense to use products and foods that you're already comfortable with.
And before I get onto how you're going to roll up the sales, because I really like what you announced today, let me finish off with this question about the product side. Are you going to be partnering with companies? For example, you mentioned the protein bar. Are you going to be partnering with companies that already produce these, and you're just going to provide the infused technology? In a lot of ways, almost like Intel inside. You'll become Lexaria becomes CBD inside, or you plan to actually produce these from scratch? Because that's the former is a pretty easy way to do it. The latter is very, very expensive if you want to start producing all your own products. So how do you plan to proceed there?
We're talking about some of both. I can't say that we have a final answer on that yet. I think some of the different product segments we enter, there may be reasons to do one versus the other in a different segment. We have had a couple of discussions with a couple of existing manufacturers of a couple of the product markets that we want to be in. And so those discussions are ongoing. And I think that as we build up our own critical mass, build up our sales channels, our sales force, continue to sponsor different events and things like that, I think that the partnering opportunities will probably be a lot more attractive for us and a lot more easy to say yes to.
So let's talk about the sales side. You've got something interesting that you're doing, which is, I mean, anytime these kind of products are exciting, they're great. The downside to them is they can get really expensive to get out to retail by its very nature. You got to spend a lot of money. So you decided, instead of investing millions of dollars or going down the route where you'd have to invest millions of dollars to try and go up to pure retail, you're going the distributor channel, the almost agents and people who are going to take on the products and become evangelists and distributors throughout North America. So talk to me about that and what led to your decision to go that way.
So we've talked about sales and distributing a lot through our extended team in the United States and in Canada. And we definitely have a multi-pronged approach. So I don't want anyone who watches this to think that we're only going to do one thing and not another. We're going to do many things, but we're going to do one thing at a time and going to make sure that we do it well before we move on. So, for example, a couple of weeks ago, we announced that we were sponsoring a specialty event, and it's a professional dance competition in North Carolina. People would say, really? Professional dance? And I would have said that too, but a couple of interesting things. We've been contacted by a couple of our early customers with ViPova who happen to be professional dancers, and they've made comments to us about the reasons why they like our tea so much, and that they want to continue drinking it. And in fact, one of those people wanted to sell it. So the dance competition that we're sponsoring is not small. There will be roughly 10,000 people there over 3 or 4 days. Now that's not as big as, say, PDAC is in the mining sector, but it's big.
Big enough, that's for sure.
Yeah, and it's a demographic that we really like. These are people who are able to afford our products and are well-educated and thoughtful people who will understand some of the benefits that our tea might offer them. So those are inexpensive methods to get out there and really reach highly targeted audiences. And today, the reason you called me was because we put out news about our ViPova channel partner program. And we agree that this is a really big deal. It is a big deal. It is absolutely not multi-level marketing. It is sales and distributorships. There is a very rich and generous sales commission structure that's built in with potential commissions that are very, very high, high enough that people can earn a living full-time selling our tea. And we designed it that way so that people take it seriously. We are not looking for part-time people who just want to do a little bit of something. We're looking for sales professionals in the industry. It is, for us, the least expensive way to get out to the broadest number of people in the shortest period of time. So one of the things we've already done, and we had to have it running efficiently before we launched the Channel Partner Program, was we needed to have our National Distribution Center up and running. And we do have that running now. That's in Phoenix, Arizona. And from that center, we have the capability of shipping product generally within 24 to 48 hours to anywhere in the United States, any quantity. We have stock in hand. We have people on the toll-free phone numbers taking orders. It's all working. That helps our sales team a great amount, because if somebody in New York wants to sell our product, they need to be confident that they're not going to be disappointed by us when it comes to fulfillment. So centralizing all of those duties in one location makes it inexpensive and efficient, and we are very efficient. And we think that we could have dozens, maybe even hundreds, of professional salespeople working for us in a pretty short order of time. And when you think about that, that gets pretty exciting as to what our sales revenues might do. And also, you haven't asked it, but I'm sure you will, you know, we're starting with tea, so we'll open up a channel partner program for you as a person. You want to sell our tea, that's great. As we layer in each of our new products, coffee, protein bars, and other things that we have under development, all of those products will be available to you as well. So your product base will broaden, and we are limiting the number of channel partners available in every state. So we will not allow an unlimited number of salespeople to be competing against each other. We have a mathematical formula that we devise. We're not going to make that public, but we do have one, and we will limit the number of salespeople in each state. So these sales territories, if you will, could become quite valuable. We're really excited about it, Joe.
And I like that, because that tells me even more so that you're only going to give away a territory that someone's really serious about this. This isn't part-timers who are looking to make a couple $100 and make a car payment. You're talking about, if you're in the space already and you're serious, we'll give you, there's an application process. So, you know, how many sales, how many channel partners would you like to be up to? You know, total, do you have a sense for the total number of territories that you might be able to fill in the next 24 months or so? Is it 100? Is it 2 per state, or is it 500? Based on what?
It's a lot more than 100. It's a lot more than 100, George. We're doing it by state, so we're limiting each license to the state in which you reside. The number of potential salespeople in each state varies depending on the urbanization and the population of each state. Having said that, I would be very disappointed if we only have a couple of hundred people that were working for us by the end of the year. I think we can do a lot better than that. I know just from the number of requests we've had that we have, a small number, say less than a dozen. We've had less than a dozen people already contact us before we ever launched the program asking, could I please sell this for you? So we think the demand is there. We know that it's a great product, and all people need to do is go to ViPova.com, and there's an application process that's right online. It's fully automated. You can be up and selling in a week. It's really easy.
Chris, we got so much more to talk about, but we'll leave it at that, because I want to get into the patent pending and what that means and how valuable that could be to you as far as taking this global and so on and so forth. But there's a lot of information for people to really chew on here, pardon the pun, and I want to thank you so much for taking the time out to talk to everybody and really let us know where you're going. And listen, I've done hundreds of interviews with hundreds of companies, and quite often I can tell the difference between someone who's just hoping and praying as opposed to a company like Lexaria, you're putting in, you're hiring national sales strategists, new presidents, you've got a channel partner program. This is very serious to me, and I'm looking forward to having you back on a number of times throughout 2015 and watching how you develop and progress this pretty exciting ViPova initiative here.
You bet. Well, anytime you want to do another one, I'm here to do it. And you want to ask me about the IT, we can talk about that. And a lot of people have been asking me about the shares I've been buying. We can talk about that. There's all sorts of things. But yeah, let's leave it for next time.
Thanks, Chris. Everyone at home, you've been watching Chris Bunka. He's Chairman, CEO, and President of Lexaria Corp. You can find the company on the web at lexariaenergy.com. The company trades on the stock symbols LXX in Canada, and for our friends in the U.S., LXRP. Multiple press releases over the last 60 days. Do yourself a favor. Go read those. Do your own due diligence. Watch this interview again to put it all into context, and then watch Lexaria in 2015, because this is the kind of companies providing the leadership that this space needs. And Chris, you're doing it right. So we will definitely have you back in the coming weeks.
Awesome. Can't wait.
Thanks for joining us, everyone. Have a great day. We'll see you next time.